I can't believe it. 6 months ago, I spoke to you. We spoke in shul about scaling mountains. It was my pep talk in Ne'ilah. And what I said was that we've climbed this mountain and we have to have the guts to lunge off. And I shared how this idea was so important to me in my personal life that I wasn't just saying this as a cliche, but rather I understood this. And I shared with you how we'd made changes at Spiritgrow. We'd gone through challenge and we'd come out the other side as a community. And I feel like I have to draw on that experience because I've spoken to so many people this week, so many people last week from our community, people who are mamish going through tsaros right now, people who have problems. And it's been incredible to speak to people who are actually weathering those. And then a few very, very special, lucky people in our community who they themselves have not been impacted by what's going on. But the vast majority are struggling. Some are struggling financially, some are struggling emotionally, some are struggling from a relationship point of view. Everyone has their struggle, which the current climate has triggered. And when I think about what I said to you on Yom Kippur, I said, we've got a harness around us. Sure, it's scary to take a lunge off a cliff. Sure, it's scary to go bungee jumping. But and sure, even when you have a harness around you, it's so difficult to take that leap. And the adrenaline is racing. And the thought of being in free fall is so scary. But the harness is there, and the harness holds us, and the harness connects us to something higher. Even when we struggle, and even when we suffer, we are not without our harness. Tonight, the Seder night, is the anniversary of that harness being placed around us. And the situation in which we received that harness was a really, really complex one. We were stuck in our homes in Egypt, and at midnight, death ran through all of Egypt, killing the firstborns of every household. That would not have been a quiet night. It would have been scary to hear the screaming and the crying. The Jewish people were told to lock their doors and have blood on their doorposts. It would have been a very, very dramatic moment. And we didn't even know what was going to happen. The splitting of the sea isn't for another 7 days. The Exodus hasn't begun. All we have seen is chaos around us. And yes, there have been plagues, and yes, there have been miracles, but there has been craziness. And then at midnight, every firstborn in Egypt gets killed. And we're told not to be out on the streets. Tonight at the Seder, we recognize that was the beginning of the redemption. That was the beginning of us heading to the sea. That was the beginning of lunging into the unknown. We had no idea what was going to happen. Moses didn't know. Nobody knew. All we had was a harness. And we lunged forward. On Yom Kippur, I spoke about this in context of the figure of life, that we've got to be aware of this. I believe that tonight is a more sacred night than Yom Kippur. I believe tonight is different from all other nights, including Yom Kippur night. And I'll explain to you why. Yom Kippur is a scheduled date in our calendar. We know it's coming every year. We know it's on its way. We prepare for it. We come to shul. I prepare. I try to give what I can. And we go home and we mull the ideas. And we try to see how could it apply in our lives. This year Pesach and tonight is completely different. We didn't plan for this. We didn't ask for this. We didn't envisage this. We didn't prepare for this. We've been pushed. We've been pushed into the unknown. We've been pushed and we've got a harness on. Which is why the mitzvah for this year's Yom Tov, besides eating the amount of 2 matzahs, besides drinking 4 cups of wine, you know what the mitzvah is? What the Torah says. The Torah says that we have to be ach sameach. We have to be happy. It's so easy to be happy when you've got no problems in your life or you've got sufficient distraction. No one's distracted right now. We're going to go through the Seder tonight, and we are going to find the Ach Sameach. We're going to find the ability within ourselves to be happy. If we couldn't, Hashem couldn't give us the commandment, be happy on the festival. And because we've got that capacity to be happy, we are able to rise above the loneliness that many of you, and even myself, are going to be experiencing, particularly those who are experiencing physical loneliness. The loneliness of being alone tonight, the loneliness of not being with grandchildren necessarily, or with the wider family, or with friends, the loneliness that everyone is experiencing in their own way, and therefore is equal, despite the fact that the loneliness situation is different. And we are going to be Ach Sameach. We have to be Ach Sameach. Because Simcha, joy, breaks all boundaries. So what are we going to be Sameach about? What are we going to be happy about is as follows. We're going to do the Seder. And after benching, we are going to open the door for Eliyahu Hanavi. We're going to fill up a cup on our table for Eliyahu Hanavi, the fifth cup. And we're not going to drink it. It's the fifth cup that represents Vehevesi, where Hashem says, and I will bring you. It's the word that hasn't been fulfilled yet. Hashem says, I will bring you, not just take you out. When you open the door and you welcome the soul of Eliyahu Hanavi into your home, I want you to do so with joy. How lucky you are to welcome Eliyahu Hanavi into your home. How lucky we are to have an opportunity to pray, not like Yom Kippur, in an honest way, not with liturgy, not with a prayer book, but from our heart. Not because we're sitting in shul and I said so, but because you're sitting at home and you've got no choice. And just put the prayer out there. Pray that Vehevesi happens in our lifetime. Pray that Vehevesi, that I will bring you, when Hashem says that happens this year. When I say see you later, when I say I want to see you soon, I'm not saying this anymore as a figure of speech. I want this to be our reality. So open the door and say, Hashem, Vehevesi, bring us. I'm not praying for the tzoros in my life to go away. I'm not praying for the loneliness to be resolved. I'm not praying for the money that I'm not earning. I'm not praying for the family member that I can't visit. I'm not praying for the sick. I'm praying that you bring such a change to the world that all the causes for this disappear. Not that I go back to the way it was. Not that you give me a miracle, but that you transform the world. Hashem, I'm asking you to do that. And my community, you, I'm asking you to do it with joy. We have the opportunity to swing that door open and pray. We're not without a harness. We're not alone. We're not by ourselves. We've been put into a situation where we have to fling that door open. Every generation is given its challenge. Every generation is told, what are you going to do? And I'm going to not break my back to make matzahs. I'm not going to live in fear to find a bit of maror. I'm going to do Pesach with joy. I'm not going to let the current situation get me down. I'm going to be Ach Sameach. And I want you to be Ach Sameach. Only happy. 3 days of logging off, 2 days of Yom Tov, 1 day of Shabbos. We've got no technology. We're just by ourselves with Hashem, celebrating the anniversary of the day that we began to leave the chaos, the day that we left death behind, the day that we started marching towards a miracle without knowing what the miracle was and without even having the mental capacity to understand the miracle. Tonight, we begin our happy march. I love you. I genuinely miss you. And I look forward to actually being back with you and celebrating with you, not back here at Spiritgrow, but with Spiritgrow and the community in Yerushalayim, in Jerusalem. Lashana Hazos B'Yerushalayim. May this year we be in Jerusalem. Chag Sameach. A happy Yom Tov.